Hi, welcome to my Just Figuring It Out in the Philippines playlist, where I basically talk about everything my husband and I, as United States retirees, are doing and figuring out as we live abroad in the Philippines as permanent residents. So this video and the next video is going to talk about budget, and here's the reason why. Back in 2020, my husband and I were trying to do some research of, can we feasibly leave everything we know, the majority of our possessions, and all of our loved ones to live in another country? And can we live within our means? So of course we went onto YouTube to see if there's anybody out there in YouTube land living in the Philippines that would talk about budget. And most of the videos were vague. Nobody would give you any really specific numbers, or they were nomadic travelers, and they did a bunch of island hopping. So that didn't seem realistic, because that's not the way we were going to travel. Or they were single guys, and that didn't fit us either. We're dinks, dual income, no kids, that were eventually going to live off of my pension, so one pension. And I'm too young for Social Security, so give me a few years, I'll get to that. But for right now, and a lot of the videos were about people who had Social Security. I'm just living off of my pension. For two of us, actually. So I figured at some point I wanted to do a video to talk about very specific numbers of what we pay every month to make our lives comparable to how we lived when we lived in the United States. Hopefully that makes sense. One of the things that I'm not going to talk about or be specific about, I guess I will be vague about, and I'll talk about it more in the next video, will be about rent, because rent is different. Depending upon if you're living in Manila, where in Manila, Metro Manila, where Metro Manila, in the province, in maybe a city, small city, big city, what are you willing to have? What do you want in your home? And I know I'm going to talk about this rental specifically for our 1-year anniversary, which is next month, of being here, and what we had to do to get it comfortable for us. So I know I'll talk about where we're living in future videos, but at least for the expense, that is going to stay vague. I'll talk about it a little bit more in the next video, but the exact number is going to vary by person, and if you're by yourself or if you're with other people. So this video is going to talk about all the other stuff. Okay, for example, Metro Lipa Water, I think that's the company. We pay 182.5 pesos a month. That water would run for showers, washing our dishes, any water we use for outside, our laundry. I don't have a dryer, so I just have a washer. Is there anything else we use? And that's it. I don't use it for drinking. My husband will use the water to brush his teeth. He's not drinking it, but he'll use it to brush his teeth. I won't. But he will. He doesn't have a problem with it. I guess I do. But it's 182.5 pesos, which is basically less than $4 a month for all of our water. Drinking water is different. I'll talk about that in a minute. The water bill, that water bill is specifically in our landlord's name. Okay? The other utility that is in our landlord's name is the electric bill. And that depends upon who's in charge of the electricity in the month. So I'm not a person who uses a lot of aircon. I'm just not. I am a person who will turn off the aircon, and we only have one air conditioner. I'll talk about that in the future video, but we only have one air con. I'm a person who would rather open the screen, the windows, open the door, have the cross breeze, and have a fan going. And I'm sure because of my choice, it's still expensive for an average Filipino. I'm sure an average Filipino who has lived in the Philippines their entire life could save way more money than I can. But for a person who has lived in the United States, who doesn't necessarily need a lot of air con, I just have the one fan on me right now. This door is closed because there's people out there and the dogs, and there's construction over there. For me, if I'm in charge, 3,000 pesos, which basically means it's about $52 for electricity. Okay? Now, if my husband is in charge and he's going to run the aircon 24/7, in addition to running fans, in addition to all of the other stuff, his range, I'm just gonna kind of keep it at an average 10,000 pesos to make it easy. Has it been higher than that? Yes, depended upon the summer season, the dry season, or the rainy season, if it was really high humidity. But my husband has, he likes the temperature much cooler than me. He likes the humidity a little bit lower than I do. I don't mind it. I'm pretty happy with the way it is. Just opening a door or a window and just enjoying the air breezes. My husband wants aircon. So with his bill, if he's in charge, 10,000 pesos, that means it's about 175 USD. Has it gone up a little bit higher than that? Yes, it has. But maybe that might have been 1 month. So I'm saying on average, if my husband's in charge, 10,000 pesos. That's how much it would be a month if you're looking at your expense for a bungalow. Our bungalow is a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. And we don't use all 3 bedrooms. I mean, we use all 3 bedrooms, but we don't use them as bedrooms. We have the master bedroom. My husband has an office, and then we have a storage room. So that's the electric bill. Anyway, it depends upon your level of comfort and your need for aircon will determine how much you're spending. The next thing is the spring water. Now, spring water is where we contact, my husband will actually text the owner of the company and say, hey, we need more water. So it comes like this. When we first got this filled, it was, let me check, 235 pesos for this if it was filled to the top. Those are super, super heavy. Filled to the top, that's about $4. Okay, so when we want a replacement of these, this is about 35 pesos to get it refilled. And we just turn it in and then they give us a replacement one. We have 8 refills. So if we honestly did all 8 refills at the same time, that would be 280 pesos, which would be about $5 a month. Now, to be honest with you, we might do half of that. It just depends upon the month, how much water we're drinking, how much I'm using water for cooking. It just really all depends. But I'm going to say on average, we only use 4 of those big water bottles a month on average. If that's the case, then really it's about $2.50 for our drinking water and cooking water, which is really, really good. Plus we tip them. We always tip the guys if they're going to come and get our refills and do the refill. We always tip them. Always tip anybody who does anything. Always tip them. And I don't care if they're used to tip or not. You don't have to. I don't care. I don't care. I thank that person every single time that they go out of their way to make our lives a little bit easier. I just think it's the right thing to do, and that's just my belief. That's just me. And I'm sure it's other people too, because I know other people tip also. I'm not the only one. So PLDT, which is basically our internet, we pay $2,100. Well, it's actually $2,099, but I'm just rounding it. 2,100 pesos a month, which is basically $37 a month for internet. We made arrangements, our landlord, so all of these things we're doing on our own. It's not in our landlord's name. All this stuff isn't now in our name. The spring water, the internet, pest control. That is an expense that we decided after living in Parañaque, pest control is like a must for us. And we use them if it is during the summer and the rainy season. We have them come once a month. But during the Anahan season, which is winter, we only have them maybe every other month. And that's $3,000 every time they come, which is basically $53 US dollars. And it's just to make sure that the home is safe and secure. Now, does it keep us from getting geckos? It doesn't keep geckos out of the house. Geckos are going to be here. And I have read, I'm not a fan of seeing a gecko. I know we have a gecko somewhere in this house. I cleaned this house, so I know. I know there's one somewhere. And my husband, when he is the one who will get them and carry them out so he can safely live in the wild. I'm not a fan. I'm just not a fan. And I know, I keep reading, they're good luck if you see a gecko in the house and they're the protectors of your home. I know that, I read that, but I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan of it. But pest control is like cockroaches and all of the other stuff, okay? So that's $53 a month or every other month depending upon the season. Our smartphone, so our plan is $5.99 a month. My phone, $5.99 for his phone, which is $11 each, which is basically $22 US dollars a month for our phone. Plus, we also keep our Mint Mobile number, which is $15 a month, 15 each. So that'd be 30 total. So our phone combined with a US phone number and a Filipino phone number, which would be $52 total. And with our PLDT, we also have another Filipino phone number, which, to be honest with you, my husband and I don't know. We don't know. That's our landline. So we do have two Filipino phone numbers. We just use our mobile number. But just FYI, those are the expenses. Now, the other expenses that we have, we put into the budget. Not everyone would have this. We do it because it just makes us comfortable. And it just meets our needs based on where we are in life. For example, we have a 10 by 10 storage unit. Not everyone's going to have a 10 by 10 storage unit. Some people will use their family or friends to keep track of their crap until they use a balikbayan box or whatever to send it over to the Philippines. We're already using a really good friend, their address to get our mail. So to ask them, could you also keep track of our crap? I'm not going to do that. That's like the last thing. We can go pay for a storage unit. And hopefully in the next 2 months, we will no longer have that storage unit. All of our stuff will be here. Well, will be shipped here via balikbayan boxes. Crossing fingers, this expense will be off of the budget soon. That's what I'm hoping. But for a 10 by 10 storage unit in Detroit, that's about 9,200 pesos, and that is a lot. That's a lot. And it drives me absolutely bananas. And we have now had it since we've been here. But to know, we accepted the fact that we were going to have the storage unit when my husband and I talked about it. We figured we'd have the storage unit for 2 to 3 years. So for us to get rid of that storage unit in a year and a half is a big deal. If it all works out. If it all works out. So I'll tell you if it all works out or not. But right now that's 160 US dollars. It actually was much cheaper when we first started. And I think it was after a year of having the storage unit, the price went up. So before it was 125 US dollars for the first year. And then it went up to 160. I think that's what happened. But anyway, we already knew that had to be part of the budget. So we have that. I take Tagalog lessons. So originally my lessons were $5 a lesson. Now I'm going to say I have no problem that she doubled the price. She doubled it to $10 a lesson. So 50-minute lesson, $10. Depending upon the week, I would have 3 to 4 lessons a week. At some point I'll do an update on what I'm doing when it comes to my Tagalog lessons. Anyway, my mind is getting off. So now that expense is 95 US dollars a month, basically. I've whittled it down to $95 a month. In the beginning, because I really wanted to accelerate my learning, I did pay a little bit more. But now that with this budget, 2025, for the past, I would say 3 to 4 months, $95 a month is doable because my husband has like YouTube, Patreon people, and he also does gaming stuff. So we match the budget. If my $100, $95, goes towards my Tagalog lessons, then he has his $100 wiggle room to do whatever he wants to do with all of his little hobby stuff. So that's how my husband and I kind of have $200 like total. I have $100, he has $100, and it goes towards our interests, whatever, and it makes just life easier. So that matches. The other thing, other expenses would be like entertainment services, like Netflix. Netflix just went up $17.99. We don't have Filipino Netflix, so I don't pay that. I still have the United States, but we have a VPN, which I forgot to check the price of the VPN. That is in my husband's name. So we do have a VPN, and I forgot to put that in the budget. Oh no, you know why it's not in the monthly budget? Is because we did a one-time shot deal. That's why. We have an annual thing. So it's not in the monthly budget because I don't have to pay that monthly. We just pay it one cost, one expense, and done. One and done is what we did. And I'll have to ask my husband. That's going to be due soon. Thinking in real time, sorry. Okay, so the other monthly expense, which I will admit to you is typically zero, is transportation, because we don't own a car. And I think I mentioned in a previous video, I walk or I bike, and that's it. It's really nice not having a car, to be honest with you. But if I need a trike, I use a trike because I don't want to feel sweaty when I get someplace. So I might use a trike to get, let's say, going to the bank or going to a place. Usually it is going to the bank because every place else I can walk. There's no reason for me not to walk. So to be honest, the only other place I would use a trike would be to go to the bank, and maybe because I'm going to Manila, I'll want a trike to go to the terminal because I know I'm going to be walking all over the place in Manila. And that typically will cost about 50 to 70 pesos. That's about it. So definitely less than $1.25. depending upon how far I am from my home. Like I might walk a little bit, find a trike, and then use a trike. But a bus, usually going to Lipa to Manila, is 188 pesos. But if I use buses within Manila, the cheapest bus has been 15 pesos, which is about a quarter. And the most expensive bus from Manila to Angeles City, which was about 290 pesos, well, that's about $5. So if I'm looking at the expense of busing or my transportation, it's minimal. Depending upon how long I'm in Manila or in another location, determines how much my transportation costs would be for the month. But for the most part, it's basically zero. That's it. So now in my next video, I'm going to talk about rent, but the percentage of how much percentage of my monthly income is reserved for rent and why there's a percentage reserved. Groceries, restaurants, sightseeing / activities, medical expenses like medicine and just having doctor's visits, even virtual ones, self-care like getting pedicures, and I might get a facial or get my hair cut. My husband's bald, so he doesn't he doesn't get any of that. And miscellaneous, like if we want to go shopping. So now what that does not include would be visas. That does not include visa. That doesn't include when we tried to get dual citizenship. So there are certain things did not include because those were automatic expenses that we already put into savings, earmarked it in our savings that we were going to spend. So those things I don't consider at all. And I think I already talked about how much we spent for our permanent residency in a previous video in another playlist. So anyway, I hope this video is helpful to you and it gives you some insight of what it's like living as just boring people who just enjoy living in the Philippines and doing really nothing exciting. just living. We're just living. That's all we're doing. Anyway, thanks for hanging out, listening, and I appreciate you just watching up to this point. I'll catch you later. Bye.